Hello, welcome to another episode of Why Would You Tell Me That?
I like that you addressed the camera immediately I was treating it as a presence merely in the room, and the conversation was this way, but immediately you TV presented it and went, good evening and welcome to the news.
I did, didn't I? Now, in fairness, if somebody went, good evening, and Fonzie style clicked their fingers and welcome to the news.
Yeah.
If I was walking around the kitchen and I heard, welcome to the news, I'd be like, what's the first headline? Hey! If the news started with, I was going to say Hugh Edwards, possibly not Hugh Edwards.
No.
If the news started with Sharon Violon and there was no music and she just hip thrust a jukebox,
that would be,
and it played the news
and played the theme news.
I mean, that would be very impressive.
Oh, fantastic.
Hey, so sorry, the camera was there and I automatically forgot you.
Yeah.
It was like you got a little microcosm of what will happen if this podcast becomes successful. I ditched you like instantly, didn't I?
We said this from the beginning. Let's be honest. We said it from the beginning that were this to become successful, I would be the fifth Beatle of my own podcast. Like, there would be no doubt about it. Neil Delamere would rise to great heights. He'd be playing, he'd be doing 14 nights in a row in Madison Square Gardens, and somebody would eventually get in a press interview would go, and of course this adventure all began with another host.
No, it didn't.
Listen, there was a guy there at the start. I think he held some cables. I don't know really.
Host stroke roadie. Sorry, I should have been. Hello, David.
Hello, Neil.
Welcome along to the second episode of the new regime.
This is incredible because we are finding so many things out. We found out, for example, that we needed more soft furnishings.
Yes.
And may I say, you have gone on an exquisite spree. I didn't think the helicopter to Harrods was necessary, but that's where he went. And oh my goodness, are we surrounded by the finest in soft furnishings.
The finest foliage that is known to man. Yeah, the helicopter collected me outside my house and ran out of fuel just near IKEA in Ballymun.
So you had to go there instead.
So I had to get, it's very much Between Two Ferns vibe.
Oh, look,
but that's all podcasts have this. So
we are conforming.
If you're new to this podcast, I mean, where have you been? But we talk to each other about weird facts, weird pieces of trivia, weird stories that we feel other people should know.
Yes.
It's called Why Would You Tell Me That? You know that by now. You've downloaded it. And we take it in turns. So it's your turn to start.
It is my turn, and I've got a doozy for you.
Do you?
Oh, I've got a
I like when I see the excitement in your face.
Yeah, this one is in the world of sport. Okay. But it's a story that I was surprised it wasn't already a thing.
Okay.
I was surprised that it hadn't been turned into some form of entertainment because the story is so wild. And then at the very end of my research, I found out it is about to be a very entertaining thing. Ooh. So I have hopefully preempted.
We're ahead of the game.
I really think
Can we piggyback on the movie PR?
That's a good idea. So we do this episode now.
Yeah.
And then when the movie comes out and the two megastars involved do it, I will presumably be able to go like on some, Good Morning America or something. You know those ones where the people are out in Rockefeller Plaza?
Yeah.
And I'll slam up against the window with a sign that says, I done this on me podcast before. I done it before. And then they'll have to just go, can we bring that gentleman in? Yeah. He seems to have an interesting accent in a written sign.
Yeah. I don't know if you slam yourself against any glass surface, I don't know if the first response is we should allow that gentleman beyond the security barrier in beside the A-list stars. I understand
that, but I think they'll see the twinkle in my eye. Okay. And they'll know. They'll say, this guy's got something to say.
Twinkling's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Okay, go on.
So I want to bring you back to the 1970s.
Okay.
And first of all, let's go back to the 1940s. In Texas, there's a man. And the man has 3 sons. Okay. And his name is Mr. Whittington, and he has...
Is he Dick Whittington?
No.
Okay.
He has 3 sons, Dan, Dale, and Bill.
Okay.
Proper Texan.
That's proper 1940s Texan names.
So my name is Dale Whittington from Texas. So fantastic. Don, Dale, and Bill. And if you were to pick one of the 3, just based on their names, Bill. Which one you want to be? Bill.
Bill, yeah.
Okay. Bill's probably not the right answer. Okay.
Don't give me 3 options then.
Nor is Don.
Okay.
If you want to stay out of prison, Dale is the one.
Okay, right. Okay.
But listen, Don and Bill live a far more exciting life than Dale. So maybe let the story develop, see which one you kind of identify with most. So in the 1970s, the boys had tried racing.
Okay.
Motor racing.
Yeah.
and they loved it. Like they absolutely loved it. Their father was a motor racer in the 50s. Okay, so the kids had kind of grown up around fast cars, racetracks, whatever. They absolutely loved it. They decided though very quickly that they would graduate from motor racing to one of the most insane sports I've ever heard of, called plane racing.
Okay.
Which is effectively building a track, an oval track like a speedway or whatever, of markers, on landscape, and then you race an airplane beside another airplane. Now, we all know motorsport is dangerous.
Yeah.
If an F1 car hits another F1 car, if an Indy 500 car hits another, they're traveling at immense speeds.
Yeah.
They're not traveling quite as fast in the air as airplanes, which are then undercutting each other, trying to overtake. And it's one of the crazier
DRS
sports.
DRS is available.
Yeah, so
That's insane.
the boys love that. Now, they're obviously very good at flying.
Okay.
Now, if you live in southern United States in the 1970s and you're good at flying, there's a small country called Colombia.
Yeah.
And it has a distinct interest in constantly flying product from Colombian areas into the southern United States, from where it can then be transported to all manner of other parts of the United States. And a lot of people will buy this incredible
Special coffee.
Exactly. So cocaine smuggling is massive. Marijuana smuggling is massive. And the boys go, this is...
It's crop dusting.
Yeah.
Or this.
Or this. And it's easy money.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money. Like an awful lot of money, okay? But, while Pablo Escobar is paying them royally for their services, things are never easy at the other end. When you land into an airport, there are annoying things like, security and cops and
forms to
IRS
fill in.
and
Yeah.
the DEA and import and customs, whatever. So the boys decide, well, no matter what, if we buy an airport, an airfield, these boys rock up in their trucks. They just come. So where could we land a plane less suspiciously? Well, what if we bought a racetrack that has a straight? So the boys went to Atlanta, and they bought a place called Road Atlanta. That was the name of the racetrack.
Okay.
And it had a long enough straight. Now, when I say straight, it's a racetrack, so it's not. I mean, it's not but it's straight
but it's
enough.
not a curve.
Not a curve. It's straight enough for them to land their small aircraft. Sometimes they would halt races mid-race to go pit, whatever, they put the flag and go slow. The cars would all pull in, the plane would land, the Whittington brothers would drive off, and the flag would go up, and the guys would race again, okay?
So they weren't keeping it secret. I thought
No, I mean, they weren't keeping it secret they were landing, but who's at Road Atlanta? Only other race-going fans. It's a small racetrack in Atlanta.
Yeah.
The other thing about having a racetrack is you have warehouses, outhouses, buildings,
industrial buildings.
Nobody needs to be going in there.
Yeah.
They don't need to be worrying about it's just car parts, right? It's just like,
servicing,
exhaust,
big wheels, slicks,
things, whatever. That's all they have there. So there are places that no one's allowed to go. And slowly, as no one's allowed to go there, the money builds up, and the money builds up, and the money builds up. And they become so incredibly wealthy. It's insane. Richer and richer. And then because they have their own racetrack, they get better and better at driving race cars.
Yeah.
No, I mean really, really good. Now, not elite level, but really, really good.
So they've loads of money. They have their own racetrack, and now they're very good at racing.
Very good. So if you're very good at something, I think the very first thing you should do is try the hardest possible version of that thing.
It is if you're a man who's in his 20s or 30s and hasn't been beaten by life yet.
Okay, right. So Bill and Don, let me get the names right. I want to make sure I get them right. Yeah. Bill and Don. It is Bill and Don, yeah. So Bill and Don decide they are going to race in the world's hardest race, which is the 24 Hours of Le Mans endurance race. Yeah. Okay. So quick bit of, most people probably know that, but just in case you don't, you can alter a car. You have two types of cars. You've got a production car and you've got a prototype. They're the two classes in the race.
Okay.
And the production car must retain the key elements that make it a road-going production car. Sure, you can maybe take out the back seats and put in a roll cage or whatever, but ultimately it still has to be the same engine that was sold, brakes, wheels, tires.
Yeah.
Maybe your gear stick is different or whatever, but it still has to have all those things. wipers, lights, like all the things that
Padre
are
Pio Protect sticker.
Obviously.
Could you alter that? Because that's the first thing. The mind the roll cage.
No,
I want some sort of holy person on it.
Obviously, on the back parcel shelf, you need a folded blanket and a box of king size tissues.
Yeah, true.
I mean, these are vitally important. So the prototypes, however, can be rockets effectively, just like with 4 wheels and a seat or whatever. So this is how the race went. And then the format of the race is you race for 24 hours straight. It's an endurance race, usually broken up into 3 8-hour shifts with 3 drivers. And you can stop in the pit lane or whatever, but really the car doesn't, it stops. You change driver quite quickly. Maybe not Formula 1 speeds, but you're not hanging around.
One gets in.
One gets out, one gets in. If you need to change tires, you change tires. If you need to fix an exhaust, you do it really quickly and you go. And it's effectively the toughest race because the speeds are huge. I mean, you're traveling at 300 kilometers, 400 kilometers an hour on this racetrack in France. But what you're also doing then is trying to maintain that speed and concentration for 24 hours. That's the really challenging part of this race. So when the lads decided to do that, they looked at the race formats. The prototypes were all by major manufacturers.
Okay.
Ferrari, Porsche, the top race going teams would have these prototypes. And then most of the production cars were Porsche 911s that were tuned a little bit in whatever ways they were allowed to be done. And the prototypes win all the time because they don't have any of the trappings of a standard road car. So they don't have to have the weight of an air conditioning unit or a stereo or
extra
proper
seats
seat or whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. So Don and Bill Whittington, they can't just enter the race. Teams are the ones, and they have the cars. No matter how rich you are, you're not going to be able to form your own team overnight and get going. So what Don and Bill do is they approach a guy who has a team, and his name is Kramer, Kremer, German name, German lad. And they go to him, can we race for you? And he goes, who are you 2 American dudes from Texas coming over here trying to race in the 24 hours of Le Mans? And they say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll give you $20,000 each for the seat, which this is in 1979. It's about 90 grand, right?
Right, okay.
Each.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of money, even for a race team owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just letting the lads run the car. So he goes, you know what? That sounds great. So he demotes,
some
Franz
poor
and
fella
Fritz, who've worked their whole
life. You are worth exactly £90,000.
Exactly. So he heads off. The 2 lads head off, and then there's 3 racers. There's Don and Bill Whittington, and a guy called Klaus, who is his top racer guy. So they've paid this much money, and Kramer says, okay, here's what's going to happen. Klaus is going to drive the first 8 hours because you kind of make or break your overall position in the first 8 hours because cars will break down, cars will crash. You'll cement your position, and then the second 8 hours is usually overnight.
Okay,
you just got to maintain,
Yeah.
and then the last 8 hours, then things are really falling apart for certain cars and whatever. And you see, so he said Klaus goes first. The lads went, no, we want to go first. And he's like, this is my team, this is my car, Klaus is my driver. You can't just come in here and if you wanted to go first, you'd have to own the car.
How much do you want for the car?
Yes.
Oh,
that
God.
is what Bill Whittington said to him. He said, how much would it cost? And in a joke manner, in order to kind of finish this ridiculous conversation, of course Klaus is going to go first. He said, I don't know, $200,000. Which if you do the maths, which we did before on the 20 grand is 90 grand.
4.5 times.
No, $200,000 is 900 grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.5
times. Sorry. Yeah. So nearly $1 million. This is the part I've heard this part of the story twice when I was looking up all this information. So I think there might be a truth in it. Apparently Bill Whittington said to him, go to our trailer and you'll see a duffel bag in there. Take $200,000 out of the duffel bag, leave the rest, and we'll drive first. And he walked over against it going, these lads are joking. Who has a duffel bag with more than £1 million in it?
Yeah.
He goes over, opens up the bag,
moves the head.
Yeah. And the bags of whatever, takes 200,000, walks away and goes, you drive first.
I mean, in the 1970s, now if it was a little bit earlier, I think the only people who would have 200 grand cash in a bag are drug dealers or lads who organise like show band dances around the Midlands of Ireland.
Boys.
Just lads with the boot of an
Cash,
old
cash,
Four
cash.
Cortina.
Yeah.
Just ham sandwiches, a flask of tea, and like
Pound notes.
punts, like
So
punts,
many
like
punts.
bales of baguettes worth of punts.
These were those boys. These boys, as drug traffickers, has so much cash.
So
And
the
they
man
needed
walked
to
over
spend
and
it.
he took 200 grand out.
Took the 200 grand.
Okay.
And said to Bill, "You drive first.
Right.
Klaus will go second, and Don will take it home." And they all agreed. Delighted, right? So they decided that they would do it this way. Bill went out first. And he did okay. Now, he was in contention for the production cars, as in the top 10.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good,
Yeah,
and especially as an inexperienced driver.
Yeah.
Like, he'd done a lot of racing on his own racetrack, but he hadn't done any racing on a track like this in France.
Okay.
But he had done well to be in the top 10 by the time his 8-hour shift was up. And obviously, all the prototypes were way ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Klaus gets in for the kind of overnight, and the rain came, and the fog came.
Okay.
And what do production cars have? Oh, I don't know, glass windscreens,
Lights.
wipers, fog
Yeah,
lights.
yeah.
What do prototypes have?
Not any of those things, yeah.
So they are slowed to a crawl where, in a very, very rare occurrence, the production cars start to overtake the prototypes.
Right.
Klaus is an unbelievable driver.
Yeah.
So Klaus gets them to the front of the leaderboard
Okay.
by the time Don gets into the car. So Don is sitting there going, all I have to do is finish this race. That's all I need to do.
And they'll win it.
And we will win the most prestigious, most difficult race in the world in our first ever go of ever even driving a Porsche 911 like this on a track.
I love the way that if you were making that much money doing something nefarious,
Sure.
right, or I was doing it, I'd like to think that we're old enough now to go, let's not draw attention to ourselves.
Yeah.
What we don't want to do is buy our way into a team, buy off Klaus to take a spot, buy the car, tell everybody that we have that much cash
Money
in the
in a
bag.
duffel bag.
The only thing that could be worse is if we win this thing.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a bit of a disaster.
Oh, okay.
So the circuit is I think the circuit is about 8 miles long and about 4 miles out. So if the pits are here and then they drive around the racetrack, whatever, and then they're over here, Don's cam belt snaps.
The furthest away from the pits.
Pretty much the furthest possible away point. And the rules of the endurance race of the 24 Hours of Le Mans is that's it. Like there's no tow truck. There's no, like, you have to, on the side of the road,
Can you repair it?
You have to
Okay.
repair it. And there's no mechanics allowed. You can go back to the pits if you can push the car, if you can, hobble the car in first gear, whatever. Don's got no chance because he's 4.5 miles away. He can't push the car around. And if a cam belt snapped, it's snapped. So the only thing you can do is you can bring snacks in your little delivery van to the driver if the driver is peckish.
Beef jerky. Would that do a cam belt?
Well, no, but if you wrap a sandwich in a piece of wrapping paper and you have a second one and one is a sandwich and one is a cam belt, who's
to know?
Who's to
It
know?
could be very tough.
You may be, it would be chewy. Don't eat the wrong one, I would say.
Would the judge make you eat the other one though?
Yeah, just to prove-
Well, if that's a sandwich and that's a cam belt, I want to see you eat the sandwich.
So the delivery driver effectively Ubered in the 1970s, Ubered over to him with a sandwich, 2 sandwiches, one of which was a cam belt.
Did somebody say just cam belt?
He attached the cam belt. The car was back running. But in the meantime, he had lost first place. Do you know who he'd lost first place to?
Pablo Escobar.
You've got the first name almost right.
Pablo Picasso.
Anglicized that. Paul Newman. The biggest movie star in the world
I was going to say he did Le Mans.
is racing in his first ever Le Mans race. And he's Paul Newman. This is like, pick the biggest movie star you can think of. They've gone to a sport. If like, I don't know, if Timothy Chalamet decided he wanted to play in the PGA, imagine how many eyes are on that. That's how many eyes are on this race. Paul Newman is now in the lead ahead of two American upstart brothers and Klaus, and they're going
smuggle drugs to get to their position.
Nobody knows that yet, but they're going, who are these guys? They've never even been in the circus or no. And there's Paul Newman in his red Porsche, and he is sailing into an unassailable lead until he's not.
You can imagine, right? You wouldn't want Paul Newman to drive at night, though, would you? Because all you'd see, no lights, just these blue eyes. Blue eyes coming around.
And the whole thing fed off island dressing. I mean, who knew? He was ahead of his time. Hydrogenated vegetable fat oil that we use now.
You see, you're joking, but fuel is now so expensive with what's happening in Iran. People are listening to this podcast going, they haven't heard anything else. No. They've heard, is that an extra fuel source? Possibly I'm going to do that.
Lemon and herb, you say. Interesting.
Really? Watch, she's running off unleaded vinaigrette. It's unbelievable. Okay, so by the way, we should plug our other podcast, because one of the facts on our podcast was Paul Newman died. The obituary said he was the most generous American of the 20th century.
What a guy.
Yeah, because he had given so much away. He'd given all of that money. All that sweet dressing money.
Yeah, he did.
Given away.
But he gave it away.
So Newman's in the race as well as the two lads.
Just imagine the television cameras, the news reports, the newspapers, the magazines. They're all so focused on this race. And Don is 4 or 5 laps behind Newman now, right, as they're closing in. And then Newman has technical problems. Okay. Some bolt in the wheels gets sheared, and they have to pull it. They get him to the pits. They have to saw it off to get Newman back. And he goes out. Then 2 cylinders go in the car. He can only drive at, I don't know, maybe 50 miles an hour or whatever. But Don's doing 300 or whatever. And Don closes and closes and closes and closes, and he wins. And Don and Bill and Klaus and the Kramer Porsche win the 24 Hours of Le Mans race in 1979. And it was a production car, which never happens. I think it only happened once since. Every single other year is prototype. And then the second class, sure, somebody won the production. The production won the race. It never happens.
Oh, no.
So imagine the attention that lands on Don and Bill.
It serves them right, in fairness.
They are superstar celebrities. Front page of every newspaper. Back page of every newspaper.
Oh, no.
They are the front of the magazines, the luxurious motor racing magazines, the Vogue magazine, whatever it is, whatever GQ, whatever you want to do to have 2 cool brother guys.
And are they photogenic? Are they kind of handsome?
They're not Paul Newman. They're not Paul Newman. We'll say that.
No, very few of us are.
No. But nobody bats an eyelid about the source of income and wealth, and they formed their own racing company, the Whittington Racing Company.
Okay.
Their cars look a little different than all the other cars, not in the shape or the dynamics or any of that.
The compartments, the hidden compartments.
Oh, more subtle than that. There are no sponsors. Now, motor racing is funded entirely in the 70s and 80s, certainly. By the fact that every single square inch of the car is covered in.
And it's always Marlboro. It was always tobacco.
Oil.
Yeah. Probably expensive watches.
Expensive watches. They're covered. And then the yellow of the Whittington brothers.
Nothing.
Except they had, on the front 2 fenders.
A credit card and a mirror.
They put on an ad for their own racetrack, Road Atlanta, which they owned. And then eventually they got sponsored by 2 companies. C.W. Cobb was a fragrance company.
Okay.
And Sun System was a suntan lotion. Do you remember in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't sun protection.
It was burnt to a crisp. Yeah.
They literally had a slogan that said, gets more out of the sun than the French. Right? So that's what they could extract from the sun with this suntan lotion. Sun System and CW Cobb. They didn't exist. There was no companies. They paid people to stand around the racetrack in the kind of the paddock, spritzing people with CW Cobb fragrances, showing them the suntan. It was just suntan lotion bought in the store and stick a Sun System logo badge on it. Same with the take off the
How did they
fragrance.
think they were going to get away with that?
Because they did.
When you wander into Arnott's or Brown Thomas, other department shops are available. The department stores are available, and there's a girl there. And there's all the fragrances and all the rest. You go in and go, can I get some CW? And they go, we don't
stock that. It's very exclusive. Yeah. They had all these stories about it. It was available in France. It was wherever. The boys had so many millions of dollars that none of this was relevant to them. All they cared about was racing. They just wanted speed. They wanted, that's all they cared about. But eventually the IRS and the DEA, their attention comes. They arrested the two brothers.
Yeah.
They reckon they made the equivalent of $300 million from Senor Pablo.
No
way. A third of $1 billion in trafficking.
In the 1970s.
In the 1970s. No, so their 1970s numbers might have been 70 odd million, but today's money about 300 million. They both pled guilty. Don pled guilty to tax evasion and got 18 months. Bill pled guilty to tax evasion, fraud, and drug trafficking and got 18 years. 15 years. 15 years.
God. And
so then my question, as I said at the start, was, why is this not a movie?
Right.
Guess what's being made right now, as far as I can gather? It's one of those Amazon MGM movies.
I didn't want to tell you, I'm the Paul Newman.
You're the Paul Newman character. Well, okay, you're not, because Tom Holland and Austin Butler are going to play Bill and Don Whittington.
Yeah, but who's Paul Newman?
Well, I don't know yet.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, I gotcha. It's called American Speed. I don't know a release date on it. I think it's maybe 2027, but they're making this story, and I am not surprised why.
I could 100% see Austin Butler.
Couldn't you? As a Texan drug smuggling race car driver.
I will be Klaus.
I thought you wanted to be Paul Newman. Now
I was thinking...
you could be like Eddie Murphy in like those movies where he dresses up as lots of people. You could be Klaus and Paul Newman.
Norbert or something, isn't it?
Yeah, Norbit. No, that was one of them. That was definitely one of them. Yeah.
That is an amazing story. See,
Wild,
I have thought more about drug dealing than I should. I've thought more about criminal enterprises than I should.
Okay.
It's not necessarily drug dealing. It's usually robbing banks. Right. And I like to think that if I had that much money and that much cash, I would not spread it like this. Like, I would be the sort of fella, and I think you would be as well, that would not draw more attention to myself by and Neil and Dave have a team in the America's Cup yacht race.
No, none of that.
I would have a series of laundromats to launder the money.
This is the kind of thing. In fact, I wouldn't even have that. I would be so useless.
You need to wash the money, though.
No, I'd be so useless both as a genuine enterprising entrepreneur individual or a criminal entrepreneur. I'd get to the point where I had a bit of money and I'm gone. I've no enthusiasm. I've no kind of drive. Like, I don't want to be richer. It's like when sometimes the companies that I work for are owned by billionaires.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, if I had 4 million, you'll just never see me ever again. Gone. I don't need 40 million or 4 billion. I'd never get to that point. I don't have that drive for it. I'm just like, well, I don't have to work anymore.
You'd walk out mid-podcast, wouldn't you?
Yeah, listen, absolutely. It looks like you tried to at the start.
Yeah, I wouldn't. And also, it wouldn't matter to me.
No.
In many ways, both of us would have won the lotto
we would
at
be
that
both
point.
Winners. Yeah,
I can't wait to see that film.
It's going to be so good.
But will they tell it as well as you've told it?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I don't know, but yes.
I mean, the chiseled cheekbones of Austin Butler are one thing, but you.
Me, listen, telling the story as I do. But that is the joy of Why Would You Tell Me That? We find these incredible stories and we bring them to you, and I really hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, I'll have to try and figure out something for the second half. Join us in part 2 and I'll see if I can match that. It won't be as good, but I have a surprise for you.
Okay. Welcome back to part 2 of Why Would You Tell Me That? With me, Dave Moore, and him, Neil Delamere. I've just told you the incredible story of the Whittington brothers, but now the floor is Neil's for him to wow us with yet another tale of wonder and intrigue.
Well, I've good news.
Good news?
I've good news. 2 bits of good news.
Okay.
After the stellar success of cashforskin.com last week.
Oh, we don't have a paid ad read again.
We have another sponsored.
That's weird because usually they come at the very top. So they specifically requested to be hidden mid-podcast when all of the listeners have dropped off.
Mid-podcast. It's weird. I suppose they're just an unusual approach. Okay. And we'd like to thank cashforskin.com as well, who sent us a lovely chamois leather for cleaning your shoes.
If this is an ad for CW Cobb fragrances or Sun System suntan lotion.
Well, how good would that be? I haven't thought that cleverly.
Okay.
No, they sent us a lovely chamois leather, and I'm not saying it's definitely human, but there is a belly button in the middle of it. No, we've got another one again. Listen, they're unusual sponsors because of we're not a massive podcast
Not
yet.
yet.
This is a new format,
Yeah.
and we do need the money. So I know you have your kind of
I had reservations
sometimes.
about Cash for Skins.
I think this one is kind of more straightforward.
Oh, okay,
But
great.
with your permission, let's just lie back and think of the money.
Okay.
Okay. With so many burglaries in Ireland every year, sometimes it can feel impossible to secure your house. Not true. For just $12.99 a month, UA Security will install, calibrate and maintain a state-of-the-art trapdoor in your home. Dogs can be drugged, but good luck sedating a pit with pointy sticks. Then, due to our patented Viet Cong hinge technology, we guarantee to drop 100% of burglars 100% of the time.
Wow.
Up to a burglar BMI of 50. If the burglar is any heavier than that and gets stuck in the aperture, a process known in the industry as forming a clot, our pushing stick will get the job done. We have trapdoors for every budget, from the very basic all the way up to the Whisper Flaps Pro. Oh, have you seen the Whisper? The Whisper Flaps Pro. What a model. You need to try it out. The Whisper. Like, it doesn't matter how big the burglar is. The most you ever hear is... That's the most you ever hear. He could be 15,
followed by
16.
impalation on spikes, though. Yeah, that's the quite bit. Followed by...
but it's soundproofed on the way back up. And
I
it's
didn't realise.
the Whisper Flaps
So you wouldn't even know if they came down in the morning.
Oh, such a piece of kit.
Incredible.
It's like falling to death in a library. Apply now for 50% off your extra models. Put it anywhere you like. Outside your back door, inside your den, beside your safe. Only last week, one customer had a trapdoor installed, and in the pit, under the trapdoor, another trapdoor! No one was expecting that. Remember, a trapdoor is just a styra for the ground.
Of course.
So yeah, that's our second ad read.
Listen, I just cannot wait to see these. Are the euros rolling in?
Oh, yeah.
Kroners?
Who knows what they're going to pay us in?
Do they pay you in advance or do they wait?
Oh, no, we have the money.
Oh, really?
We already have the money, yeah.
Is that where we got the plants?
Oh, listen, we've loads of IKEA vouchers left.
This is fantastic news.
Okay, I'm going to bring you, for my fact, to America as well. Okay. Since you started in America.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Grover Cleveland.
Former president,
well done.
Yeah.
A couple of interesting things about Grover Cleveland. Number one, Grover Cleveland is the only US president to be named after a Muppet and a city in Ohio.
Yes.
Kermit Cincinnati lost in the primaries, but Grover Cleveland became the president. Number two, he's also the only president until recently who did non-consecutive terms.
I didn't realize
he was
that.
the only one.
Okay.
And then
the
current incumbent also did the same thing.
Right.
I should have probably given you the headline fact. You know the way we always have a little teaser to
yes,
draw people
course.
into the episode. Grover Cleveland was the US president who had essentially half his face removed, kept secret, and nobody ever knew about it.
Half his face removed?
Yeah. So I'm going to look this up. I'm going to show you pictures of Grover Cleveland. I'll bring you back. It's 1893.
Okay.
He's in his second term. Okay. It's America is full of economic turmoil at this point. Okay. And it's only a couple of months in. It's only a few weeks into his second term because they got sworn in May, actually, because it's January now, but it was May then.
Yeah.
And in June, he notices a mass on his mouth. Right?
Okay.
Well, kind of on his palate. He goes, what am I going to do about this? I need to get this looked at. So he gets his doctor to look at it, and the White House spokesperson, the White House medical guy, says, this, and I quote, is a very bad tenant, and I'd evict it as soon as humanly possible.
Okay,
Essentially,
right, okay.
He goes, but
it's 1893. I can't imagine this. Yeah.
It's 1893. If the American president has cancer now, or any sort of condition now, it's news all around the world.
Gotcha.
And the markets could dip, markets could not dip.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get America onto the gold standard. There's a thing called the Sherman-Silver Act, and he's trying to get that repealed. So he thinks, I can't step away now, and if people think that I'm maybe infirm, what am I going to do? I know, I'll get it done in secret.
Okay, good idea.
I'll get it done in secret. Where is more secretive to do an operation? The very finely skilled motor skills of a surgeon. I'll do it on a boat that's moving. Why don't I do that?
What?
Yeah, so he gets... there's a yacht called the Oneida.
Right.
And a Commodore mate of his owns this. And he goes, I'm going on my holidays, lads. I'm going on my holidays, my hollybobs. And shoot me now for saying hollybobs.
It's fine.
And he gets onto this yacht, and all the surgeons are assembled on the yacht. Surgeons assemble. So they do the operation.
Sorry. Okay. On the yacht, I mean, look, anyone who suffers from any kind of motion sickness will obviously know that yachts go up and down with the rise and fall of the water. You know, you can obviously, tie yourself. You can tie onto some kind of, dock of some sort, and then perhaps limit the effect of the water, but you'll still be...
Try and do the resection in time with the ocean.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
This, like, surely, or could he not just
do it on dry land?
Sail to an ocean, sail to an island?
No.
Had to do it.
Well, let's assume that it was relatively
calm
at the time.
Okay.
There's a man who's written a book about this. His name is Matthew Algeo, and a very interesting book. But he was talking about this took about 90 minutes. I've read a little bit less than that, roughly 90 minutes.
Okay, so
and this guy
no.
no.
It was an 8-hour surgery, like.
Well, the author's spoken to oral surgeons, and nowadays it would take hours.
Right.
So they take out 5 of his teeth, and they take out basically half his upper mandible. Right, so a huge part of his face is gone.
And the structure of his face is built around that.
Well, that's interesting. I'm going to show you a picture of him in 1893, right? And I'm going to show you a picture of him a few years after that. And I want you to have a look at these.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 18.
This is pre-op.
Yeah, it's pre-operation.
Pre-op,
okay. Obviously, he's older.
But
he looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what they did was, my favourite part about it's on a boat. They injected cocaine solution as part of the first.
Okay.
Why
didn't we live in the 1890s?
They actually got it from the grandfather of 2 lads that went on to win the Le Mans. It's fascinating.
Wild story.
Then they gave him ether.
Right.
They took out 5, as I said, 5 teeth and a part
whole
of
structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, they were able to go, there's no external stitching because they went in through the mouth.
Okay.
And also he had a massive moustache, as you could see there. So they were able to use the moustache to cover it, right? But still, the facial structure is essentially gone. So they got, and this is at a time, relatively recently, they had started to use implants and plates and vulcanized rubber. And a dentist was able to remake it entirely. So for the rest of he wore a plate.
Fake inside of his face.
Yeah, that rounded out his face. As you can see, you couldn't tell in any way, shape or form. So he went back, he made a speech to Congress. The press, the public didn't know about it, the press didn't know about it. It was only revealed 20 years after he had the operation, all the principals, except one, were dead.
Oh my goodness. And like, would it not, I mean, anyone who gets, loses a tooth, goes to the dentist, wears Invisalign or braces, like your speech changes. Even the slightest thing, even if you got like a piece of popcorn stuck in your teeth, you'll be constantly licking at it. But did he not go from like, I'm Grover Cleveland to I'm Grover Cleveland? Like,
he did when he wasn't wearing his plate.
Oh, but then once the plate was in.
But this was the thing, right? 2 months after the president's fishing trip, is what he said. The Philadelphia Press reporter E.J. Edwards published the story because he'd heard from one of the doctors that it had happened, right? And they completely denied it. They said that they completely besmirched Edwards.
Oh, him as the reporter.
Yeah. Right. They said never happened. Don't know what you're talking about. He had a tooth removed. Look how well he can speak. Then he staged at one point a walk when he was in New York to make sure he was hale and hearty. He made a speech in Congress very shortly afterwards. Nobody in Congress, none of the press, nobody ever figured out.
So they just said your man was some kind of like naysaying anti-Grover guy.
Yeah. The closest Cleveland ever came to confessing to the surgery was in a letter he wrote to a friend after the first doctor talked to Edwards. And it reads, "The report you saw regarding my health resulted from a most astounding breach of professional duty on the part of a medical man. I tell you this in strict confidence, for the policy here has been to deny and discredit the story."
Wow.
Right, but they did cover it up, and then weirdly, because they didn't know exactly what type of cancer it was, they were able to test what type of cancer it was in the 1980s and 90s. They were able to get a piece of the tumor and figure out exactly
of the tumor that was in Grover Cleveland in 1893.
Yeah. So there's been, they've covered up John F. Kennedy's Addison's disease. Ronald Reagan underwent operations for cancer, and Nancy said you're not allowed to mention cancer in the White House. But this thing. And years later, one of the main doctors on it admitted to it because he thought it was the best thing to do to resurrect Edwards'
career
reputation.
Right, reputation.
In some ways. And everybody was gone at that point.
Wow.
But in a time of photography, in a time when you were still out making speeches, so they made him several plates as he got older as well, if anything changed within his mouth. But you could see there absolutely no difference.
That is incredible. No. I didn't know anything about that.
Never heard about that.
Top working at Delamere.
Yeah, I mean, there's no film about it.
You never know.
I mean, dentistry isn't quite as exciting as driving a car.
No, but like somebody like Paul Giamatti would make that. It would be an indie movie. Paul Giamatti is Grover Cleveland.
Yeah, he's done John Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, Grover Cleveland is next.
I think so.
What do you mean?
That was your Paul Newman, was it?
More Tarragon.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Why Would You Tell Me That? We're back next week and every week for the rest of our days. And also, don't forget, we are launching a Patreon.
Yes. And I have the email address because we've been asking people, look how prepped I am.
We've an email. This guy's got ad reads from companies that I have never heard of.
Yeah.
He's got email addresses I didn't know we possess.
Yes. And on this piece of paper, it says, read out email address.
Okay, good idea.
But it doesn't have the email address.
Oh, even better.
So look up our email address.
No, I think I know what it is. I think it's
wwytmtpodcast@gmail.com.
At
gmail.com.
Yeah, and ask us questions because we're going to answer the questions on the Patreon episodes.
Listen, lads, this is unbelievable. Like, great stories, great facts, and a Patreon episodes with questions that you want answered. Come on.
Bish, bash, bosh.
Love it. Thanks, Neil.
I'm doing the Olympia. I should have mentioned it. I've had another date in the Olympia.
What date?
On May the 8th. So
May the 8th, 2026. Neil Delamere in the Olympia. neildelamere.com/gigs.
Yes, and listen to Dave on the radio. 9 to 12 today FM.
Look at that.
Bye.